Reddy. So currently working as assistant professor of chemistry at BMS Institute of Technology, India. So as part of this conclave, so I would like to give a small talk on this interdisciplinary research for the sustainable future. So in this actually I would like to press upon this why interdisciplinary research is required in order to face or in order to provide the solutions for these global challenges. So because no single field or no individual research or isolation research can solve the problems which we are facing globally in terms of the sustainable issues, and we have to collectively address the solutions, collectively address the problems in order to provide the solutions or effective solutions for this each of this challenge. Yeah. So apart from these, and many of the sustainable challenges have the solution at the pilot scale or lab scales which can theoretically give up to 90% efficiency, but taking them into the real field or real applications is the biggest challenge which we have to address. And I would like to press some of these global challenges in the current era which we're facing. The major one is the climate change, followed by the biodiversity loss and water stress, water scarcity, pollution and waste management, and food security is another major issue for the growing population, followed by the well-being of the society and the individual health, and inequality and social injustice, which is keep rising in across the world, irrespective of the developed countries as well as the underdeveloped countries. And I would like to say this: all these issues are interlinked actually. Solving one often help others. So, for example, like the clean energy improves the health, water, and equity. So coming to talk about the first one, the climate change. So here I would like to present each of these one or two solutions for each of these sustainable challenges, how we can address them in the coming years collectively. So coming to talk about the climate change, we must cut the greenhouse gases as fast as possible while hardening the systems against the heat, floods and droughts. So, a few of the solutions that can address or that can effectively mitigate the climate change issues is the next generation renewables. So, we have to introduce the solar panels, perovskite solars, printable PVs, and airborne wind, floating offshore wind controls. So, doing the research in all these fields can address the climate change issues, followed by the carbon capture and utilization. For example, like that, we have to develop the technologies that can turn the CO2 into fuels, plastics, and building materials so that the concentration of carbon dioxide contents in the environment can be minimized by converting that waste into the useful products. And there is a necessity to carry out the AI driven climate models, so which can precisely forecast the weather changes, and we can develop the smarter energy grids. And the next issue, biodiversity loss. So we are witnessing the species and ecosystems are gradually collapsing at a faster rate. So undermining the food, water, and climate stability. So for this, we need to engage on the research like nature-inspired materials. So we have to develop or focus more research on the nature-inspired materials, so where the biodegradable plastics and bio-based chemicals can be introduced into our research, and conservation technology. So drones and AI for tracking wildlife and preventing the illegal activities such as the poaching of these animals should be introduced. And we should all of us focus on the ecosystem restoration like microbial soil boosters and seed bombing, where the humans means the individuals cannot go and do the forestation, so we should have some technology for the seed bombing with the drones. So this is one of the thing what we are pressing is that the multidisciplinary research is very important in order to address the challenges. Neither of the single field of the research can solve the problems. And followed by the water scarcity. So too little clean water is available in many places, or otherwise too much floods in some areas, and the rising contamination is also a major issue. So when it comes to the water scarcity, we have the technologies at a pilot scale which can shows like a desalination, membrane filtration. So honestly, they have not been commercialized widely in the underdeveloped countries and developing countries. So we should always look into some of the nanotechnology which can solve the issue at a ground level. And smart agriculture is also one of the important thing where IoT based sensors, AI based irrigation can be scheduled, so which can increase the crop yield and selection of the crops based on the geological regions. And circular water systems are also very much necessary, so where the recycling of this industrial water can be processed for repeated use. And IoT for water, like smart irrigation. We should have some technology for the leak detection, precision in the agriculture. So all this can collectively sort out or can address the water scarcity issue. The next is about the pollution and waste. So global pollution creating health burdens and ecosystem damage. So in order to avoid and in order to show the prominent solution for this is the green chemistry principles. So all of us have to collectively implement the green chemistry principles where we can replace the toxic solvents with the green solvents or bio-based solvents in our chemical synthesis and other industry process. Apart from this, circular economy design is also one of the important issues. So where products made to be reused, repaired, or recycled. And another one, robotics for cleanup. So AI-driven robots to collect ocean plastics and other things like technology should use the AI-driven project. So depends on which we can collect the plastics and other waste material from the water surfaces and other polluted areas effectively. Apart from this, one major issue is that energy transition. So we still depends on the fossil fuels, unarguably. Even like there is a small transition from these fossil fuels to the electric vehicles as well as the renewable energy. So the composition or like proportion what we have done as of now is very little. So we need a form clean power and clean molecules, like we still depend on the fossil fuels. So in order to mitigate this issue, we should have focused more on the advanced storage technologies like sodium ion, solid state, and flow batteries for renewables. So followed by the hydrogen energy economy. So undoubtedly, the hydrogen energy is one of the cleanest form of the energy. So it is still at the research level. Countries like developed countries are being started to implement the technology for the transportation and other things. So we still have to focus more on it actually. And urban energy design is one of the very critical thing, like where the smart cities and smart grids have to focus more on the net zero buildings and microgrids. And afterwards, the food security is again being a major problem in the country across the globe. So, in order to mitigate or in order to effectively address the food requirements for the increasing population, so we should have to adopt the vertical farming. So, which yields means high yields with the less land and water. And synthetic biology, one more option where the engineered crops are resilient to droughts and pests. So we should have to incorporate the AI technology in agriculture where precision shading, fertilizer optimization and drone monitoring can be introduced for the effective yields. And one more thing is we have to choose the crops wisely. It depends on the climate, which we call like climate smart crops. So for example, like gene edited rods, salinity tolerance, biofertilizers and microbiome engineering. And one more thing we have to address is the inequality and social injustice. So environmental exposures drive diseases, climate intensifies risk. So which is all impacting mainly that the social economically weaker communities compared to the other economically strong community. So for this we should have the policy innovation, transition frameworks, ensuring no community is left behind from these problems. and we have to create awareness among the people through the open science platforms like knowledge sharing across the domains and as well as the regions, north and south. So apart from all these, the circular economy is a very important thing nowadays. So where we have to design the policies for repair, reuse, and recycle rather than simply dumping or throwing the materials. And high value should be, I mean, the policies should be made in such a way high value recycling for batteries, PVs, and other the usable products, spent materials. And one more thing, the extended responsibility, so EPR, so right to repair and global plastic treaty momentum. So all these policies are required for the effective solutions which are facing globally. So coming to my conclusion, so as we have seen all the presented sustainability challenges like climate change, biodiversity, water, health, and equity are not isolated problems, they are part of one complex system. Hence, the solution must be systematic, interdisciplinary, and scalable. So, what I would like to conclude here is that none of these global challenges can be solved individually or a single domain of the research. So, in order to provide the effective solutions, we have to work together and collectively address the problems for the future generations. So I wish you all the best for the Global Edu Conclave 2025. Thank you.